The UK's upper house of Parliament, the House of Lords, is expected to vote on the controversial UK Internal Markets Bill in the coming hours. The legislation, which was passed in the Commons in September, seeks to give government ministers the power to override parts of the Brexit agreement with the EU. Well, critics fear it could damage the UK by breaching international law. Well, for on this, let's go straight to Tig Enright, who joins me now from London. Well, good evening to you, Tig. There's a beautiful sunset behind you. The House of Lords is expected to oppose the Internal Market Bill, but this isn't the decisive moment, is it?
No, absolutely not, Isabel. The House of Lords, the upper house, does not have the final say on this. Before the Internal Markets Bill becomes law, it must go back to the House of Commons, the lower house, where MPs, or really the government, can add anything back into it they want, anything that the House of Lords might have sought to take out of it. And the government has said, Boris Johnson's government has said, that it will persist with the controversial elements about the border in Ireland. But that is something which won't happen, that vote, for a number of weeks, by which time, well, perhaps we will have a trade deal and the need for this controversial element will have been eliminated, or perhaps President-elect Biden will have convinced Boris Johnson to take it out. He tweeted back in September that the UK-US trade deal was absolutely contingent on the Northern Ireland Peace Agreement, the Good Friday Agreement, being upheld and therefore having the border in Ireland remain open. The UK, after his election, says it's holding its nerve for now, but perhaps Joe Biden might be a little bit more forceful with Boris Johnson whenever they have their first conversation, whenever that might be.
Yeah, Tig, Biden might inject some sort of new energy into these Brexit talks, but at the moment they are just still grinding on and beset by the same old problems. And if there is a deal, it is going to have to be reached by December the 31st, or even before December the 31st. Time's not on our side.
No, it's not. And as you say, we are just in this never-ending cycle of sameness. The latest we've heard from Downing Street is that significant gaps remain. Where have we heard that before? Last week, the last round of talks wrapped up. There was a phone call over the weekend between Boris Johnson and Ursula von der Leyen. And Boris Johnson said then, with talks resuming today, Monday, that they would redouble their efforts. It's hard to understand just how often you can redouble or intensify your efforts. And the sticking points remain the same. It's about European access to UK fishing waters. It's about how much the UK is able to subsidise its industries, what they call the level playing field. Perhaps Boris Johnson, or perhaps President-elect Biden, might also deliver a reality check to Boris Johnson about the prospects for a UK-US trade deal. That might influence the UK in terms of how strong it thinks its hand is, in terms of whether it can walk away from its membership of the European single market. But you're right, the one thing we are getting close to, even if it's not a deal, is that cliff edge, December the 31st. And as you say, a deal has to be done well in advance of that date to allow all the necessary T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted, to get it enacted and ready in time. What we don't have right now is a kind of a fixed point in time that says it really has to happen by this particular date. Perhaps that will become clear in the next few days, in the next few weeks, or perhaps with the impending the clock ticking, some heads will be knocked together and a deal will be done. Isabel?
A bit of a Groundhog Day. Well, many thanks, Tig Enright there in London.